Oh, hello everyone. I hope you've had an amazing week. Or just give me a sec here just to reassemble and get ready. My name's Dr. Daniel Follows, and this is GP Made Easy. So, as you can see how I was walking in and my attire that I'm dressed in today, we're moving on to some musculoskeletal topics. So, today we're going to be covering osteoarthritis, as it is a very common condition and affects a lot of people worldwide. And currently there is new information and resources for the management of osteoarthritis. But before we begin, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe so I know that you're enjoying this content. But anyway, let's get on with the video. So first of all, some background information. So osteoarthritis is a common form of arthritis, and it is estimated to affect about 10 million people in the UK, and it can be a leading cause of disability. So up here I've got a closer image of knee joint, and as you can see, joints are very complex where multi-body systems and cell types interact, and due to this, cells are constantly turning over in joints. So in any day-to-day activity, when we walk or do any activities, that puts some stress on our joints, and that can cause some cell death in those areas. But what our body then tends to do, it tends to repair that area to make it healthy and strong again. But in osteoarthritis, there is an imbalance between that wear and repair process. So in most people, the joint repairs and they're able to function again. But in osteoarthritis, because of that imbalance, it can lead to the joint forming an irregular surface, and it can even lead to some bony outgrowths forming that we call osteophytes due to that imbalance. And it can lead to pain, and sometimes it can lead to inflammation as well. Now, things that can increase wear in joints are trauma, certain occupations, obesity, and if someone has an inflammatory arthritis. Moving on to risk factors. So first of all, we have the non-modifiable ones, which we cannot change. So these include your age, unfortunately gender. It's been shown that osteoarthritis is more common in women than men, and genetics. And then we move on to the modifiable risk factors. So first of all is weight. So the evidence has shown that for every extra 1 kilogram of weight that is on your abdomen, that can add an extra 4 kilograms of pressure on your knee. Your muscle strength. So for most people, they do recommend doing resistance workouts, so using weights to help improve muscle strength. Your occupation, as some occupations are more manually demanding, which can put extra stress on your joints. Smoking can put you more at risk, and injuries can increase your risk as well. So it's recommended that when you initially get an injury, just to avoid any strenuous things on that area, and to do some simple exercises to strengthen the muscles, which we will cover shortly. So you've taken a history, you suspect osteoarthritis. So next you move on to examination of the joint. So you examine the area that's involved, and it's always recommended to examine the joint above and below, as sometimes you can get referred pain. So for example, knee osteoarthritis could actually present as hip pain or ankle pain. So when you're examining, what you may find is you may find some bony swelling or deformity. You may notice a small to moderate effusion, which is some fluid building up. Now this can be quite common in the knee joint, but in anywhere else, be a little bit suspicious if there is something else going on, in particular like an inflammatory arthritis. And you may notice some soft tissue swelling, warmth or tenderness around the area. You may notice the muscles are weak around the area, or there may even be some wasting, which I'll put a picture up here. There may be some joint stiffness on moving the joint, or it may even cause some pain on movement, and there may be some joint instability or misalignment. Now you examine the joint, so we move on to how you diagnose osteoarthritis. So the guidance has actually changed recently, and for most people you can confidently diagnose osteoarthritis without doing any x-rays if they are 45 or above, with activity related joint pain and either no early morning stiffness or early morning stiffness that lasts less than 30 minutes. And this is because doing an x-ray doesn't actually change our management plan at all, and I will show you this later on. Times when to get an x-ray are when you're not quite sure if the diagnosis is osteoarthritis, if they have any atypical features, or if they have sudden or unexpected worsening of their pain. Okay, so you've diagnosed osteoarthritis, and now we move on to management. So first, it's lifestyle changes. So the biggest thing you can do is losing weight. So we said earlier, 1 kilogram of weight on your belly is extra 4 kilograms of pressure on your knee. So losing weight can have such a drastic improvement in your pain as there's not as much pressure going through your joints. Quitting smoking, and also make sure you've got a good calcium and vitamin D intake. So make sure you have plenty of dairy products, or if you think you're struggling, then I would get calcium and vitamin D supplements over the counter. Next, it's recommended to do gentle exercise and strengthening exercises, as this helps to decrease pain, improve function, improve mobility, and improve your quality of life. So this is the logo for a website called Versus Arthritis, and this is an amazing website. It's got strengthening exercises for every joint of the body. And also, if you struggle to go to places like the gym or get outside, there's also videos for you to do gentle exercises at home, whether standing up or even from sitting down in your chair. So I'll link both of those resources in the description below. If someone's not able to do those Versus Arthritis exercises or exercises at home, then you can refer them for some physiotherapy. And then next we move on to pain relief. So first line, it's recommended to start off with regular paracetamol, and if you need to, you can add in a topical anti-inflammatory medication. There are a few different ones available, such as ibuprofen gel, Voltarol, and it can be a little bit of trial and error to find the right one that suits you. And if they're still struggling with the pain, then you'd move up the analgesic ladder. So next you'd move on to weak opiates like codeine or tramadol. And if they're really, really severe, then you'd move on to opioid-based medicines like morphine. Another option to try and spare them that would be offering them a joint injection. And that is day case procedure. Most GPs do it, where they inject just a little bit of steroid into the joint, and in certain joints they can put in a little bit of anaesthetic, and this helps reduce any inflammation in the joints, so should help with the pain. But if there isn't any inflammation and it is just that the joints are completely worn down, it won't have much benefit, unfortunately. Most should be able to do your knee and shoulder issues, but for any other places, especially like the hands and that, they may need to refer you for ultrasound guided injections if they're available, or refer you to secondary care for those type of injections. Now, if they're still having a lot of trouble with their joints despite all the previous measures, then the next step would be referring them on to secondary care, as they would be looking at offering them a joint replacement. But we do try to delay this as much as possible, because your natural joints offer the best bit of support and range of movement for your body. Now, there are some certain things that NICE doesn't recommend, and that includes acupuncture, arthroscopy and lavage, which is where they give it a washout or remove some debris in there, lubrificants, hyaluronate injections, and glucosamine or chondroitin supplements. Now, the reason why they don't recommend the supplements is there's not that much evidence on their efficacy, but some people have noticed some difference with it, so you can give them a try if you want, as there's low risk of harm, but they recommend that if you've not noticed any benefit within 3 months, then to just stop it. Now, some people can get what we call a flare in osteoarthritis, and this is a sudden, sustained increase in symptoms for at least 24 hours, but can last sometimes up to 3 to 8 days. And this can sometimes be due to trauma or things like the cold. Well, that's it for today's video. I hope you found it interesting. I'll link all the resources in the description below that I've used today, including the NICE guidance and the RCGP learning modules I used to gather all the information for this topic. to also the resources like the Versus Arthritis website. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe so I know that you're enjoying this content. And if there are any topics you'd like me to cover in future, then please mention it in the comment section and I will pick them up in later videos. Just to make you aware, I'm also on Instagram and TikTok. They're just up here. Or if you prefer, you can contact me via email and my email address is just up here. Well, I hope you guys have an amazing week and I will see you in the next video. Just want to say a big thank you to you guys for all the support you've given me for these videos so far. And also there are more videos up here so you can watch and gather some more information if there are any topics that interest you. But also don't forget to click the subscribe button and it's just up here. But yeah, have an amazing week guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.